Good evening and welcome to this week's episode of Sunday Night Live, your favorite automotive show where we talk about the issues that affect the customer experience in your stores. Because whether it's the front of the store or the back of the store, the happier your customers are, the more they come back to you for everything they need when they need it. And guess what? They'll recommend you to their entire tribe, their family members, their friends, the people they work with, people they go to church with, bowling. You name it, they will sing your praises up and down and send everybody to your store. And I'm very fortunate. I have a great network of friends, colleagues, and automotive professionals that come on here and share with you what they do or what they've done to improve the customer experience at their stores. Real actionable items that you can use in your store starting tomorrow. Never any fluff. And this week is no exception. I have John Frazier and Ryker Salazar. Welcome, gentlemen.
Hey, thanks, Paul. Thanks for having us.
All right, so John, starting with you, why don't you give us a little bit of background for those folks that might not know you? I doubt it, but there could be one or two. And then Ryker.
All right, John Frazier. I'm Fixed Ops Director here at Louisville, Kentucky for BMW Louisville, Volvo Louisville, and Louisville Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram. Next year is my 20th year in the car industry, coming up through as service advisor, parts service and parts manager, fixed ops director. So, and many hats in between. So that's my story.
And you're very passionate about the car business, man. You and I have been friends for a number of years, and we've had a lot of great car chat over those years. Well, so welcome, Ryker.
Ryker Salazar. I'm the service director at Louisville Chrysler Jeep Dodge Ram. I was a tech and a shop foreman. I came all the way from Arizona to be here in Louisville with John. And I love everything service.
Now, here's a guy that was in Arizona, okay, enjoying his life, saw an opportunity in Kentucky, and loaded his trailer, I call it a trailer, onto a truck and drove, how many hours was it?
I think it was 26. Yeah. 26, 27.
Non-stop,
long trip.
Non-stop. That's what I call commitment.
I was ready for the next step and the opportunity.
Or mental instability, whatever you want to call it.
We're still not sure which one, right? So, gentlemen, welcome and thanks for being on the show. We're going to cover some important stuff here, all right? Because everybody says, oh, I can't get people, or people don't want to work. I don't think that's necessarily the case. I think there are plenty of people out there, and there are plenty of people that want to work, but as with anything else, it's all in the setup, right? If you don't properly set the employee up for success, how can you expect things to go well? It just doesn't make any sense. But yet, we see this play out over and over again. We have friends in different dealerships, and in our conversation with them, we hear some of the same stuff, right? So we don't think necessarily that you have a hiring problem. You have a retention and you have a onboarding problem.
Yeah,
I think that's pretty much the
truth.
What's that?
It's a hiring problem too. Because we hire our problems.
So let me ask you a question. What's one mistake most dealers make during the first week of onboarding a service advisor? And I'm sure there are a few, but let's start off with one.
The number one is just throwing them to the wolves. I mean, and luckily I made it through that. But my day one was a notepad, an ink pen, and the service director said, go stand over there on the service drive. When somebody drives in, write down what they say. And then this guy over here who had a terrible attitude, he'll show you how to write an RO. And that was day one. So the biggest mistake dealers make and directors make is this hands-off approach to assume that this new employee is just going to be fine and fit right in. I mean, I remember one of my first entry-level jobs was working at Burger King, and there was more orientation at Burger King on how to make a Whopper than there is to writing a customer up at most dealerships.
which is crazy, really.
Yeah.
We got Larry Feldman says, good evening, gentlemen. Robert Moody says, very true or true. And Marshall Sheldon, first week, took a month to go through the initial process to get to day one.
Yeah.
Now here's a guy, he and I've said it 1,000 times, and I will continue to say it 1,000 times, because it seems every other day that I get a notification, it's Marshall Sheldon has achieved yet another level of proficiency. I don't know anybody that puts as much into his career as Marshall. So kudos to you. I'm going to keep praising you every time I see it. I promise. Joe Clementi, good evening, gents. Looking forward to tonight. And Kyle Morazet says, onboarding should start in the interview. Set the stage right from the start.
Yeah.
Now, so you hire somebody, you sit down with them. Oh, LinkedIn user. Let's see who that is. Oh, it's Mike Vogel. Here we go. Mike Vogel says, good evening, Paul, John, and Ryker, MV/FOC, Fixed Ops Coach. So they come in, they say, okay, so go shadow that guy over there, and that's it.
Yeah. You can't have it set up that way. The interview, and Kyle, you're exactly right. The interview should at minimum outline for that person, especially if it's someone that's new to the business. Here's what the first 30 days are going to look like. And for me, I prefer hiring customer service people that have no automotive industry. It's just a preference. It saves time. It saves brain damage. I don't have to break habits. I can teach processes and procedures and the way it's supposed to be done. So that's where we often get off the tracks and make the first mistake, is we're hiring for resumes rather than attitude and for heart. I know that there are some good experienced people out there that get displaced for one reason or another, and they might be a great addition to my team, but I'd rather take the risk on somebody that is looking to do more with their life, that does great at what they do. Currently.
Now, hospitality folks?
Chick-fil-A is a preference.
Okay.
The other thing too is you got to put some effort into the onboarding and the recruiting and the and finding these people. You can't just throw a bait out in the water and hope somebody bites it. Put some random Indeed job posting out there and then tell your dealer, well, I got an ad out. Well, what are you doing? Indeed has a great tool called Smart Sourcing, where you can target certain industries and company, and you can preview these people and how long they've been in their role before you reach out to them. You get to pick the cream of the crop. Moreover, while you're out interacting with some of these people at restaurants or hotels or things like that, that's a great way for you to see them in action.
Right.
I've recruited people right from table side because they gave me great service at a restaurant. And that's where a lot of people are missing it. They're not putting that effort into it. They're just waiting for it to come to them.
Joe hit the nail right on the head here. The number one problem is the absence of an onboarding strategy. Now, I take it a couple steps back, right? There are a lot of people on Indeed, and most of the ads are pretty much the same. Now, the caliber of people that are coming into our business, a lot of younger people today, and they have kind of a different mentality of some of the old timers who end up being a lot of the leadership inside a store. So just like on LinkedIn, right? You'll see somebody did a job announcement. Oh, I'm thrilled to announce that I've done this or that. And then all you see across the board is congrats, Bob, congrats, Bob, congrats, Bob, congrats, Bob. Well, that's kind of how Indeed ads are, right? As opposed to, I maybe will spend a little bit more time than I should, but nonetheless, I put some thought into it. Hey, congratulations on your new opportunity. They're lucky to have you, man. I've seen what you did at the other company where you work. Truly miraculous stuff there. If there's any way I can help you, feel free, either myself or my network. I'm happy to do so. Wishing you continued success. And then you see a bunch more congrats, Bob, congrats, Bob. So which one do you notice?
the one people took effort to actually speak specifically.
Correct. So our hiring ads should kind of be no different, right? If all of those ads are the same and most people haven't changed their processes at all in the last 10 years or longer, then we kind of need to write an ad that speaks to what's important to those people and also speaks to what we want in what we have and want in our culture, in our stores, so that, maybe we weed out a few people that way, but we've got a better shot at getting the people that we want for our role. And then when they come in with the onboarding, here's where you are over the next 30, 60, 90, 120 days, however long you want to do it. I want to get you to these proficiencies, and I'm going to support you every step of the way, because a lot of people today, as you just said, they don't get support. They're just thrown to the wolves.
You've got to have it mapped out. For new advisors that come on board with me, I've got a 30-day training curriculum that outlines all of the OEM training. It outlines tire training, like on the drive. It outlines in-class training that we're going to do for any of the software that we use. And so it's an hour and a half dedicated every single day to training. And then within those days, they're going to be shadowing a more experienced advisor. They're going to be cross-training throughout the store. They're going to be a porter and a valet for a couple of days. They're going to work the parts counter a couple of days. They're going to go sit in the BDC. Like, they need to see how each of these positions and roles, intermingle with one another.
Now, the beautiful thing about that is that when you cross-train and you see what the other departments do, yes, you do have a better understanding as to how the pieces fit together, because most often a department head will know their department fairly well, but they don't necessarily know where the breakdowns are between departments. And also, it shows the other employees what they go through. So when they're in their ultimate role, they have a better understanding and empathy for what the other person goes through. I remember going to Florida for Ed's book signing, and I met everybody in the store, and they make a point to cross-train because there was a technician that had an issue with an advisor, right? So they kind of cross-trained those two, and the I think it was the technician that finally said, "Hey, listen, I'm really sorry. I was a real jerk. I didn't realize all of what you went through, and I'm going to do better," right? So you nip that in the bud right from day one within those 30 days.
Yeah. And sometimes you'll find that maybe that person you hired for writing service, maybe that's not where they want to be. Maybe it's not a good fit for them. We had that happen. So I hired 3 individuals from Chick-fil-A that had 6 to 7 years of assistant manager, HR manager level career at Chick-fil-A. And so as I was going through the onboarding process, we got to the cross training. One of the 3 found that she liked it better in the BDC than she did on the service drive, and she's killing it in the BDC. She's like top in production, like every single day with outgoing and inbound calls. So she found her place, and that's great. I'm fine with that. I had no hard feelings over it. So sometimes you find a different place where that person can serve,
because you've actually taken the time to set it up properly. You kind of test the waters because they see all the different opportunities. In a dealership, we have several businesses within the same business, and each has its role. I want to get to a couple of comments here because I don't want to fall behind. Frank Knox says, "I'm amazed that organizations don't have a mentor program." Oh, we're going to get into that too. "Take your best people and reward them to mentor new associates. I see it at restaurants. The server doesn't just start working their own section at a 5-star restaurant. Ask yourself if your dealership is seeking a 5-star review." As a matter of fact, I had that recently in Cleveland, right? I took a picture at one of my favorite restaurants, Fahrenheit, and the assistant, the guy that was learning, he was training to be a server. He he kind of stood back and said, no, I want you in here. He said, well, I'm just a trainee. I said, no. I want you to stop that right now. You're not just a trainee. You're part of the group here, and you're in training to offer the kind of level of customer service that this restaurant puts out there. So never minimize what you do. And Marshall says, I had my best luck with randoms also. The butcher shop, a cart kid at the grocery store, a restaurant. I'm always recruiting. Carry your business cards, y'all. And he says, at Frank, mentorship is the way. It truly is. I mean, if employees or new employees see that you care about them and that you're really invested in helping them level up, the data shows that they will stay longer at that job. Even if they're not 100% enthralled with the work, they will stay longer because the people care enough to want to help them. And we have our friend from Sugar Land, Texas, Kenneth Dunner Jr. Good evening, gents. Savor the flavor of the awesomeness in you peeps from Sugar Land, Texas, just southwest of Houston, USA. And Marshall says, pick the intangibles that are important to you and look for them everywhere. I can teach anyone to fix trucks. Intangibles are harder to come by, and they are everywhere around us. And Mike Vogel says, leaders can attract talent based on how good they are as leaders and their reputation. That's another thing. If people like the leadership, they will go to that store. Where have I seen that play out before? Ryker, maybe you can help me with that. An even better way is by their current team members promoting what a great place it is to work at. Yeah. And Marshall says the 3 T's: train, transfer, terminate. Anthony Miller, best fix ops director and service director I've ever worked under, right there. Where's that?
Yeah,
that guy.
It's one of our service advisors at Dodge. He's really trying for that pay raise.
So you have a month that you have everything plotted out for, and rather than just say follow that person, how actively involved are you in the everyday, day-to-day?
Very. For me, I'm a bit of a control freak in that regard, because I want to ensure that that person never has a question on what to do next. I mean, I assign them a person to shadow, and they'll shift through a couple of advisors just so they can see different styles and things like that. But it is constant check-ins throughout the day. Hey, how's it going? Is there anything I can help you with? Hey, here's some things I want you to try to accomplish today and get done, and you circle back around later. And then at the end of the day, I mean, especially for the first 30 days, every day it's, let me look at your work in process. Do you have anything hanging out there that I can help you with? And even to the point, I'll go out on the service drive and just kind of monitor from a distance. I want to see how they're interacting with people, find their comfort level, down to listening to their phone calls. I've got a guy now that, it's one of my Chick-fil-A guys, Nathan, and he's doing an incredible job. But obviously coming in with no automotive knowledge, many of his first phone calls that he would do on his own, he would almost feel backed into a corner, and he wouldn't feel confident about the things that he was saying. Yeah. And he would almost use that as a crutch or an excuse to the customer that I can't explain it any better because I'm not a car guy. And so it took some time of listening to those phone calls, finding out what he's not comfortable with, and then having some sessions with him. Hey, here's how you get better at this. Here's how you say that. And this month, I think this month is his second full month, and he's toe to toe with hours and gross profit and CSI as the rest of the guys are on the service drive that have been here for years.
I love it.
Yeah.
So the problem we have when we're doing something for years, for a lot of people, is that a lot of people seem to think that if they've been doing it for a long period of time, that they already know everything. Right? That's a problem, because if you're not open to learning and you're not open to, I know this is an oxymoron, constructive criticism, right?
Right.
But you have to be open to someone who maybe knows it a little bit better than you do to guide you through it. Now, it's interesting you say about monitoring the phone calls, because I know a lot of stores have software that records calls, and a lot of it's automated to score a particular call. But in many years of asking questions of those in leadership, when do you listen to these calls, or who listens to these calls? Very few times am I given a definitive answer as to exactly who's listening to the call and why. So you listen to the call, and then you coach on specific areas where that person needs help. Now, as a new recruit, that's got to make you feel really, really good.
Yeah. Yeah. The win for me and Ryker, I think, like the when do we do things, it's just whenever we can make time for it. I mean, it's at one moment we're at our desk reviewing a ticket, the next moment we're in the shop, the next moment we're on the drive. And specifically with my new recruits on the service lane, I'm monitoring how well they're performing in their digital NPIs, like how many approvals and declines. And when I see, the declines getting a little heavy, I'm going to dig into those multi-point inspections that had declines. And it's either a pitch problem or, some sort of process issue that the advisor had. Either we just didn't send it and we clicked decline because we judged it, or we sent it, the customer declined it, and we didn't ask more questions. Normally when a customer says no, they're not saying NO, they're saying KNOW, because they don't know, they don't have enough knowledge as to making a good decision. So that's when I dive in and listen to those calls. And that happens whenever I can make it happen. But it's being enough in tune with your business to know that there's somebody's got some weakness and somebody needs some help. Our corporate IT, unfortunately, we're not allowed anything AI. So I have to operate a little blindly sometimes. So I don't get to see some of those AI analytics that could help me with, sentiment and things like that over a phone call.
Yeah. But you know something? You might do a little bit more work, but the results are there regardless.
Right.
Right. I mean, I'm a big one for automation. I'm a big one for leveraging available tools, but I've worked with some large dealer groups where they're crushing it. And I say, hey, you know what I don't see in your drive is I don't see an alignment and tire checker. I said, that could simplify your life a lot. And the guy said to me, you know what? We've had some issues with them, and we have good old-fashioned processes. They're leaders in their district as far as tire sales are concerned, as far as CSI, all the metrics that we typically look at, they're leading the way in, and they do it like you do it, right?
Yeah.
Old school process and holding people accountable.
Yeah.
Mike Vogel says, Greg Penske, his name came through this time as opposed to LinkedIn user. That's really weird. He said, Greg Penske Motor Group in California has Penske College that every new team member must attend for a week prior to starting at their respective dealership, and then spend a week shadowing a current team member for another week.
Mm-hmm.
That's a structured process.
Well, the reason we don't do those things is because we often are hiring out of a reaction rather than hiring to be proactive, because we're hiring because we're desperate and we got a chair that needs a butt in it, and
right,
rather than training or building a bench of people that can move through the process.
See, one of the many things I like about you is you're not afraid to throw out anything that's not right, that's not good.
Right.
And even if that means that you have to come early, that you have to work in the drive, that you have to stay late, whatever it takes, you get it done. And the hiring process is a continual one. You're never finished with it. When you're dead, then you're finished with the hiring process, maybe. because
Right.
we haven't seen the rigors of the shop in the sky, so we don't really know. And since nobody ever leaves our business alive, we don't know where we go after we leave this earth. We may go to another shop somewhere else altogether. Right? Let's see. Marshall Sheldon says the tragedy of life is often not in our failure, but rather in our complacency. He's 100% correct.
Yeah, John Maxwell said it best, is that a leader knows the way, goes the way, and shows the way. And a lot of times there's two types of guys sitting in this chair that we sit in, and they either were thrown into the chair and they have not a clue what they're doing, and they're not qualified to be there. They were barely any good at the position they moved from last, but the dealer threw them into it.
Yeah.
You got the guy that's on the other end of the spectrum, just on cruise control, not trying to rock the boat so he can enjoy retirement. And you got a few of us in between that are really trying to shake things up. And we're not gonna accept mediocrity, and we're not gonna put up with poor culture, and we're gonna jump right in and do whatever it takes to shake it up and make it happen.
Makes all the difference in the world. Now, talk to me about mentorship in the service advisor role.
To what extent?
What's that?
To what extent?
As deep as you want to take it, man.
You've got to, the service advisor role, and I'll this is an unpopular opinion that a lot of people think is the most difficult position in the dealership. I disagree with it. It's not the most difficult. The technician is the most difficult position, and Ryker can expound on that later on. The service advisor position is a demanding role. It only becomes difficult because we make it difficult.
There you go.
We have to ensure that you're providing all the things that an advisor needs to be successful at what they do. The success or the failure rises and falls on the service director. If they're successful, then great. But if they failed for one of two reasons, or maybe both. You either didn't give them the tools and the training and the support that they needed to be the best that they could, or you made a bad hire. And listen, we all suck at hiring. Nobody's great at hiring because everybody puts their best foot forward in an interview. The problem is post-hire, we have an ego issue, and like Gary Vee says, we have an ego issue, and we don't want to admit that we made a mistake. And so we just tolerate this bad hire rather than moving on from it. But to mentor an advisor through their career, meant the first 90 days has got to be a very intimate, like, relationship about their role. Like, how is your day going? And it's I'm always asking my guys, especially my new guys, how are you doing? How do you feel comfortable at what you're doing? Most recently, we promoted a technician out of the shop, 20-year BMW master technician. It's taken a toll on his body, and he wanted to write service. He's been wanting to write service for the past 5 years, but the previous guys here in my chair kind of overlooked him. And so I said, hey, man, let's go. Let's take a whack at it. You're either going to be great or it's not going to be great for you, but I'll help you every step of the way. And one thing he's realized that the advisor role is a lot more demanding than he originally anticipated. You know, he sat back in the shop thinking these guys didn't do anything. But his first month was very hard for him. Second month, it's made a little more sense to him. I've helped him create structure in his day so that he doesn't get overwhelmed really quick.
Yeah.
And he's just going to get better and better. Every day I see a light bulb go off with him. And you've just got to be very in tune with these people for 90 days. But even at the 90-day mark, you can't take your thumb off of it. You can't let off of it. You still got to check in with these people, and you got to let them know that you care about how successful they are. The problem is, unfortunately, this industry has bred self-serving, greed, a lot of different things through poorly written pay plans and poorly communicated expectations and leading through fear rather than leading through mentorship and support, and most importantly, seeing these people not as a number, and we all, I mean, we're all numbers. We all contribute something to the bottom line.
Yeah.
But you can't ignore the humanity behind it. And that's mentorship is about seeing who that person is beyond what they do at a desk or in a bay.
Now, I'm gonna say something here that's gonna be maybe for some a little controversial, but I don't really care. I'm a very much, not unlike yourself, I'm a very process-oriented person, okay? Because the process does work. If you follow the right service drive process, the pre-write-up process, every step of the way, how to greet the customer, the proper walk-around process, the educating them as to what the cars do for service process, all of that, okay? I see a mentor in helping the new advisor execute on process, because when you don't execute on process, what you have is you have some managers that, I don't know any other way to put it, they're kind of like the attorney for the defense. Rather than figure out how to get everybody to institute process, they feel sorry for the advisor because they say, you know what, the advisor has a lot on their plate and I don't want to give them one more thing. But the bottom line is, if they execute on process, then you're not giving them one more thing. You're better structuring them for success, because not only will the customer have a better experience, but they'll be better educated and they will take better care of their vehicle when it's properly executed. So I don't see it as putting extra work on them. I see it as setting them up for success and then holding them accountable. That's, to me, what a successful mentor is in, a good chunk of it in a service advisor role. Let me get to a couple of comments here. Shahe, I'm not even going to try to pronounce your name, so I apologize up front, but thank you for being on the show. He says, the employee does the work. The core of open and honest dialogue is the personality, work ethic, and mindset. Mindset, it starts with mindset, right? If it's not in here, it's not going to happen out here. I don't care what you do. As silly as it sounds, each employee's lifestyle of income, relationship strength, the distance they drive, whether they smoke, and whether they drink are all a part of their habits and responsibilities, rather than just showing up and working for a paycheck. It's silly, but it doesn't matter. Hiring personality and work ethic over experience. We can always make technicians and add, it doesn't, I think it goes more than that, but on the platform, I can't see all of it. So I'll see it afterwards. Great point there, Shahi. Great point. Thank you. Mike Vogel says, always be hiring by always be interviewing, building a bullpen, also work using existing porters, valets, BDC personnel, express technicians, etc. Spot on. You're always.
I got a porter, Ethan, that has been a porter for 4 or 5 years at different dealerships. He wants to be an advisor. So I gave him the login and the curriculum. I said, get your advisor training knocked out of the way over the next three months. By the end of Q3, if you get it all done, this desk back here is yours. So and he's got the gift. He's going to be great at it. But you got to give people a career path.
Yeah.
And mindset, everything. Ryker can speak everything to mindset. Man, if you got an asshole, I don't care how hard they work or how talented they are, they got a crappy mindset. Ruins a whole bunch.
I had an apprentice tech, and he worked under a tech, and he wasn't the best fit for culture. He left, but my apprentice tech was in the bullpen. He came in, first month flat rate, 200 hours that month, and he's just going up and up and up.
Yeah.
And he's like the epitome of just process, culture. Yeah. And he was just in the bullpen waiting for his chance. And when it happened, I asked him, you want to do this? And like his first month, he came and thanked me, and he's like, man, every other director in this situation made me an apprentice under someone else, and he gave me a shot. And he is I mean, right now he's actually my top tech in flagged hours this month.
Right?
Second full month. And
he's hungry, man.
He's just there.
Yeah.
And people talk smack all the time. You know, too often we have people that want to grow, but they're not given that opportunity. You're lucky that guy, the tech, didn't bail. 5 years of wanting something.
The reason they're not given that opportunity is because for a lot of guys like us, it's too much work for them. You know, a lot of directors they'd rather plug and play, not plug and manage and coach and support and teach and lead. They want to get right to the play. And it's
not that easy.
Yeah.
You know, the core of people that we have in the talent pool today, it's not that easy because we either have old timers that know the game, but also come with baggage and don't necessarily understand the technology. And then flip it the other way. We have younger folks that come in that don't have the experience. And I hate when I hear people my age or older say, "Oh, their work ethic sucks." Now that's bullshit if you ask me. It's not a question of work ethic. They have a different view of what's important in their life, right? They don't see, you know, when I came up in the business, the bell thing, that was normal. Now I was an anomaly because I would come in late when my kids had sports events. Back then, I'd say, "Hey, I'm coming in at 11 on Saturday because my daughter's got a game or my other daughter's got a concert," or whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
But a lot of people didn't do that. And the people coming in now certainly don't want that. They want to work 9 to 5 Monday through Friday, even though ours is a Saturday business, right? Even if we're open part of the day for service or all day for sales, it's just part of the landscape. Let me get a couple of comments here. David Rozak, he and I had the pleasure of having dinner the other night in Chicago. We had an awesome time. Great leaders don't lead only when things are easy or when the path is clear. They lead through uncertainty, setbacks, and challenges. Their integrity anchors them and their vision pulls them forward. Even in storms, they are the steady hand on the wheel, showing their team that progress is still possible. So you got a good point there because, you know, you can have somebody brand new out of Naval Academy and you can have an old salty sea dog captain that's been doing this for 100 years. And you know what? In really rough seas, I'll go with the old salty sea dog anytime because that person has weathered the storm, just as David says right there. Great point. Jesse Salinas, good evening, gentlemen. This is great stuff. Hey, thank you very much. I really appreciate it, man. And David says, here is a service writer tool to help service writers role play with. So there's a link there. You guys can check that out. Joe Clementi, right on, John. Care enough to lead through adversity, coach to processes, and mentor the behavior. Potential exists on the other side of adversity. Out of adversity comes opportunity is one of my favorite sayings. And Jesse Salinas, reverse engineer the outcome. We know what excellence looks like. Who sets out to wing it? You know what? Nobody sets out to wing it, but a lot of people do wing it. I see it, you know, and you could spot bullshit a mile away, right?
Yeah.
When somebody comes to you right away, he says, who sets out to wing it? If you fail to prepare, then prepare to fail. Cliche, hire for integrity, Warren Buffett. So, Ryker, what's the risk of hiring a tech just because they can flag hours?
Man, it's the riskiest thing you can do. I mean, I've worked in a lot of shops with a lot of techs that can flag hours, and the shop culture is just terrible. You young guys hate it. You can hardly walk through the bays without catching attitude and this and that. And so many people put up with it, but you got one guy flagging 100 hours a week, and then you got 4 guys flagging 30 hours a week, not happy, not wanting to be there. You got drive full of service riders that don't like the guy, comes in, shows his anger, and I'd way rather have a bunch of guys on the same mindset that are as a team. I mean, I did lose my highest flagging tech not too long ago, and it was the best thing for culture, man. I got a bunch of younger guys, a lot of apprentices. Shop culture just goes through the roof.
You know, when you have somebody that flags a lot of hours, all right, somebody that's been around for a while, they have a certain arrogance about them. And look, they've earned the right to be kind of the king, so to speak. But unfortunately, a lot of times, those are the guys and gals that it's like a cancer, right? They may flag a lot of hours, but if that creates an unhappy environment for a bunch of other people on the team, well, then you run the risk of losing other team members. And you definitely not run the risk, you actually lose money because these other people that are unhappy don't produce.
Right.
Yeah.
There's some kind of psychological thing or physiological thing that when people are not happy, they don't produce. Somebody that's happy in their job will be, it's like having 1.5 people for every one person. If they're happy in their job.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, that's my favorite thing talking to like new technicians that are thinking about onboarding is like, I can confidently tell them that I don't have cancer in the shop. These guys get along. Everyone helps each other. And like, I was in the shop. I've been in cancer shops. I've been in good shops. And I'm like, I'll walk you through the shop, introduce you to everyone. I mean, these guys genuinely like each other. Almost too much because they're always talking and hanging out, but it's awesome, you know.
Or cooking chicken.
Cooking chicken in the shop, and like they walk through at lunchtime and they're at a buffet together. But you know, it's the culture is just, and you can feel it when you walking new techs in. I mean, and once you get a culture to that point, it's like when prospective technicians, especially local guys that have been around the other dealers, it becomes a shop decision. It's like, hey, you guys all saw this guy interviewing. You guys might know more than I do. And it's up to them. I'm not going to say yes or no to the guy until my shop tells me yes or no.
Yeah. And the same way, I don't hire a technician unless my techs tell me I can.
Right.
It's their shop.
You know, you can walk into a place and within a few moments feel the vibe or the energy in a place, whether good or bad. There was a dealer group in Long Island that I did some work with. And when I walked into that showroom the first time, it's like walking into a phone company power room. There's so much electricity, so much vibe. If I had hair on my head, the hair would stand up. I mean, that's how much energy was in that place when I walked in. So it's funny you mentioned about that you can't hire them until the techs have hired them. So a shop tour and a peer interview, that's got to change the game dramatically as far as hiring new people, right?
Absolutely.
Because they see how important the team is. Right out of the gate, when you have that peer interview, I think is the technical name for it, they see that, hey, they're not just coming in as for another job. They're being interviewed to be part of a thriving team. And they see how each person supports the other. And subconsciously, if I'm coming in and I see how the techs are supporting each other, the subliminal message I'm getting is, hey, you know what? If I'm lucky enough to get in here, I'm going to need to support these guys and gals because that's the culture they expect, right? Culture isn't you saying some BS about culture. Culture is walking in and having them walk the talk so that you or the customer comes in and says, wow, this is culture. Culture isn't about telling people how you have culture. It's about how you behave. Bay ownership. Talk to me a little bit about bay ownership and why is that important as far as, you know, building pride in the technician?
Yeah, I mean, that's a huge thing. I mean, when we first got to this store, I mean, me and John spent 2 days on a weekend, Saturday, Sunday, I mean, cleaning the thing out, and I mean, it was years and years of just neglect, and bay ownership's everything. And I mean, getting these techs to actually take pride in their work areas and cleaning it up, and before they leave on Friday night, so they come in Monday. It's funny, actually, last week, I came in Monday, and it was the bays weren't clean, and I was like, guys, we got to do something. And so Monday from 7 in the morning until 1 o'clock, I mean, I cleaned the shop with the guys. We reorganized the equipment. My new guy that I was talking about that's killing it, I've been talking about bay ownership, and he was still struggling to grasp the idea. So I came in, I cleaned his bay with him, and I told him at the end, I was like, this is what I expect, because it's a certain thing walking into your bays. And I don't like customers in the shop, but if one were to come in, it's like, wow, this is a nice establishment. And there's something about walking in the morning and it's a nice bay. Your racks are up, floors are cleaned, and
there was one defining thing I always remembered about my dad. My dad was a 40-year technician. We only had one car growing up, so we always took him to work and we always picked him up. And every single night, we'd pull up and park just outside of the shop, and I could see my dad's bay. He'd lift his rack. He'd go make a fresh bucket of mop water. He'd sweep his bays. He'd mop. He'd put the rack down, and it was so that he could start fresh every single day. Because sometimes techs forget, they're there rent free in a way. That's their business inside of a business.
Right.
Yeah.
And that pride in keeping their workspace clean. And I don't think it's just a matter of even keeping it clean, but for me, the lack of clutter and having cleanliness provides clarity for my workday,
And it just leads to efficiency.
Yeah.
And when you're bringing on a new guy, you're walking them through the shop, interviewing them, and they see the bays tidy and they see it clean. They're like, they know that's the standard, and it just becomes the standard with every guy you bring on. And with the apprentices, it's like, hey, if you at 4 o'clock, you guys leave at 4:30, let's clean this thing out. I've had a few techs that have interviewed and worked there in previous years, and they're like, I can't believe this is the same place, or this is the nicest Dodge dealer in Louisville. So, but it's about keeping it clean.
Yeah.
What I like about what you said is you were there cleaning the place. Okay. You're the service director at the store, and you were there with everybody else rolling up your sleeves, getting dirty, getting it done.
Right.
That sets such an example.
Yep. And if you expect something, you gotta be able to do it yourself. And then when they see you doing it and you're taking pride in it, all of a sudden everyone starts kind of helping you. A couple minutes later, I see the warranty admin sweeping the tire room, and all the techs are just cleaning their bays, and it's just you gotta lead it.
I know that from personal experience because I ran several shops in the aftermarket. Okay, high volume Meijer shops. And I'm not going to lie, the shops were not the cleanest. But I'm somebody that wants everything. Appearance is everything. When a customer walks in and they see that a place is well organized, it's clean, it makes a huge difference. The challenge I had when I took over a new store was there was crap everywhere. Okay. Brake drums, brake rotors, just left about, exhaust pipes, suspension parts, just left about. I said, you know what? I can't have this. So I started a policy where before the car comes down off the lift, I want the base swept. I want the trash picked up, thrown in the garbage can. I want the cardboard in the dumpster. I want the metal in the other dumpster before the car comes down. And guess who was doing it in the beginning? Me.
Yeah.
Okay. I was doing it. I got brand new garbage cans, brand new with lids, because I had this thing. A garbage can's got to have a lid on it so that it looks neat. So in the beginning, I was the one doing it. And I was the GM of the store. didn't matter, because after a short while, they started to pitch in. They kind of felt bad. So, hey, this guy's our boss, and he's doing the cleanup. There's something not right about that. So they started to pitch in. So it got to the point where, you walk in, everything was straight. It was clean. They were doing it. I was still helping them, but it was a complete reversal of what it was before. But so you lead by example. You do it first. They see that you're not afraid to get your hands dirty. They're going to be more inclined to want to help you with it. Training. What's your take on ongoing training? I know it's the first thing that's cut in any budget review, but talk to me about the connection between ongoing training and technician retention.
Yeah, I mean, really keeping these, it's ongoing training, because being a technician, especially at any dealer, but Stellantis especially, I mean, the product changes every day and new things are coming out. And I mean, you got to keep up with these guys and help them get through it, whether it's changing their dispatching or, I do all the dispatching in the shop, and sometimes I'm researching it and finding bulletins and creating star cases, just so when I go give the ticket to the technician, it's like, hey, there's this, and this. And when you see something,
you're the service director and the dispatcher rolled into one.
Yeah, and kind of shop foreman.
Yeah, and warranty admin trainer.
And mentor.
Yeah. So no, I mean, I definitely take pride in training the techs, especially because, I mean, when I first got here, I was like, John, I need some level 3 techs. I need guys. Where are they? Where are they? And like my first 3 months, I just was looking for all these unicorns that weren't there. And then when it really flipped was when I said, all right, let me focus on our core group of guys, and we're going to bring in younger guys, apprentices with work ethic, with hustle, with mindset, and just train them our culture, train them our way. But that involves so much more hands-on work, because you don't have plug-and-play guys. You don't just see them Friday night, good week. You're there every day, every hour. And once you become that guy, they get comfortable. Hey, come here, and you're in the shop for 4 hours. I mean, helping these guys out, but it never ends. I mean, I push cars in with these guys. I mean, if there's an expectation or a problem, I'm gonna go out there and help these guys fix it or address where we went wrong as a shop.
Well, and two, you have to, and it's great that Ryker's involved on that level of, kind of, if you will, proofreading the RO, teeing it up for the technician, because the OEM's always moving the goalpost on certain things, and they may announce it. And they may announce it through messaging or different places, but some of it you've got to be really proactive on, which components this month do we have to take a picture of before we can get approval to warranty it out? Now the repair procedure that used to say replace this component, well now it's a software update first, and then we're going to do this. So, and if you don't know those things, I mean, you open up the dealership to a lot of liability of, we just replaced the transmission. Well, no, it was supposed to be a program first. Well, great. It's an $8,000 warranty claim we can't get paid now. So being ahead of that stuff is an ongoing training process.
Constant.
Because the manufacturer likes to play that game with us.
Right.
But it's a lot of these new guys like he has out there now, they wouldn't know to look for that stuff without somebody guiding them through it.
They know the transmission's bad, they want to replace it. But it's we got to do this, and this. And if you catch it in the beginning, it saves all the headache.
Yeah.
But
then they know next time.
And then they know next time.
Yeah, exactly.
When you have to go back and try to retroactively correct the issue, that takes you 3 times as long.
Mm-hmm.
And there's no guarantee you're going to get the money.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, I'm not suggesting that the hoop becomes smaller and that it moves more.
Yeah.
But a lot of times in a lot of stores, that's exactly what happens.
Yeah.
what's a red flag? Just to bounce back to the interview for a moment. What's a red flag when you're interviewing an advisor or a technician that a lot of stores don't catch?
Well, what is it for you?
For me, like if a technician kind of just comes in and he's not very personable, he just gets straight to how much can you pay me, like how many bays will I have, and it's like, oh, like what about? Are you not asking about the shop? Do you want to see the shop? And it's like, yeah, I do 75 hours a week, and yeah, that's what I do. And it's like,
that's not a team player.
Right. What kind of work do you like to do? Right. I mean, the guys that are just kind of all looking at it for themselves. I mean, I love the guys that come in and ask about the team, the facilities, what's the service drive like? How are the other techs like? What's your process with oil changes? It's like when they're just all orientated on themselves and what's in it for them. I mean, that's a red flag. I've had a lot of techs that come in just the what's in it for them, and I'm never going to call them back. But the guys that are genuinely interested in growing and want to be part of something, it's like those are the guys you need.
Yeah. When it's more about me, less about we, those are the red flags.
Yeah.
For me on the service advisor side, when I'm interviewing people, especially from other industries, I'm wanting to know things like, what was your favorite thing you've done in the past? What was your least favorite thing you've done in the past? You kind of get a gauge on what they like to do and not like to do. And then I ask them about who was your least favorite boss? Who was your most favorite boss? How did you?
And why?
Yeah, and why? And how did you integrate with your team? Do you play well with others? Do you don't want anybody in your sandbox? You've got to know these things. You've got to ask some of these very informal questions that sort of get to the root of who that person is at their core, and how they're going to integrate. And I always ask, what do you think the biggest challenge will be integrating into a new role in the automotive industry, something you've never done before? And the interview gives you a good gauge on how they communicate, their body language. But man, I'm telling you, if all of their statements lead with I and me, and it's very focused around just them and not things they've achieved at other companies as a team and how much they love interacting with other people and customers, it's going to be it'll be a tough integration into the culture you're trying to build.
If there was one thing you wish somebody would have said to you when you got into a leadership position, both of you, what would that one thing be?
Oh, God. I guess I kind of knew it, but I didn't know to the extent. Like, I was like, oh, that's a cool job. Like, oh, look. But it's like, if you want to be good at it, it's like the amount of attention you got to show to people, and you got to be there for everybody. I mean, it's so much more than just sitting in an office looking at a computer. You got to be there for the porters, the express lane, the techs, the riders, parts. I mean, I'm in parts helping them grab parts all the time. You got to be there for the people if you want everyone to succeed.
Seek out a cardiologist early. I mean, for me, it was actually said to me, and it doesn't mean that it was all roses and sunflowers all the way. The guy that mentored me in my first service management role, he was retiring, had been in the car business 50 some odd years. And the last thing he said to me on his very last day, he had the door to my office open. He was stepping out, and he said, "Wait a minute, I forgot to tell you the most important thing." And he said, "Remember this, nobody will ever see the department and the dealership the way that you see it. And if they did, you wouldn't be needed." And while through the years, maybe I didn't reflect back on that, but in most all cases, in most every store I've been at, nobody else views it the way I view it. And that's okay. They're not in my chair. And I have to remember that in the way that I coach them and lead them, because I can't expect them to see it. I can't put that on those people.
Right.
I just have to hope that I create enough of an impression and impact on these people for us to all accomplish what we're here to accomplish.
Wow. That's a mic drop moment right there, man.
Mm-hmm.
In a perfect way. We've come to the hour. The time moves really quick. An hour seems long, but in reality, it's not really that long. It happens really fast. So guys, I appreciate you coming on here. You shared some good things that hopefully people took away a couple of nuggets. Stay on after we go off here. So thank everybody that tuned in tonight. And to those that watched it on the replay, I thank you as well. I hope you have a safe and successful next week. And Coach Joe will be back next week. And we're going to further our leadership series that we started last month. So thanks again, and we'll see you next week.
Bye.